It was a bitterly cold night in rural Tennessee, snow falling hard enough to bury the old mailboxes along the country road. The wind howled through the trees like a lost soul, and the temperature had dropped so low that the streetlights flickered under sheets of ice. Inside a small wooden house on the edge of town, Martha Johnson, a middle-aged black woman with a warm heart and worn hands, stirred a pot of chicken soup. She lived alone after her husband passed away years ago, but she never stopped caring for others. To her, kindness was a duty, something her mama had taught her since she was a little girl. Around 10 p.m., a sharp knock rattled her door. Martha frowned, glancing through the frosted window. Outside, she saw headlights and shadows, a man, a woman, and 2 children wrapped in thin coats. The man looked rough, with tattoos peeking from under his leather jacket and his motorcycle parked beside an old van. Martha hesitated for a moment. Out here, strangers rarely came by at night, especially not ones who looked like that. But when she opened the door, the man's breath came out in visible gasps, and his wife held a crying toddler against her chest. "Ma'am," the man said, his voice trembling. "I'm sorry to bother you. My name's Ray. Our van broke down. We've been on the road for hours. The kids are freezing." Martha's heart softened instantly. "Come on in before you all turn to ice." The warmth of her small home wrapped around them as they stepped inside. The kids' teeth chattered, and Martha hurried to lay blankets near the fire. She didn't ask too many questions. She could tell they'd had a rough night. As they ate her soup and thawed their hands, Ray explained that he was part of a motorcycle club called the Hells Angels, and they'd been traveling back from visiting a sick relative. When the van died on a lonely stretch of highway, no motel would take them in. People saw the tattoos, the jackets, and turned them away. Martha just nodded. "Well, I don't care who you ride with, sugar. You're people, and people need warmth." That night, while the snow piled high outside, laughter began to fill the tiny house. The children played with Martha's old dog, and Ray's wife, Linda, helped wash dishes after dinner. For a few hours, they weren't outcasts. They were a family under one roof. Before dawn, the storm began to ease. Ray thanked Martha again and again, promising to repay her kindness someday. Martha just smiled and said softly, "You don't owe me a thing, honey. Just pay it forward when someone else needs it." As their van finally started and taillights faded into the white horizon, Martha stood at her door, arms folded, feeling an unexpected peace. She had no idea that her small act of compassion would soon shake the quiet town and bring dozens of roaring motorcycles to her doorstep. 3 days passed since that snowy night. The storm had cleared, leaving Martha's little Tennessee home surrounded by glittering fields of white. Life returned to its quiet rhythm. Morning coffee, gospel music on the radio, and the steady creak of her old rocking chair. But something strange was in the air that morning. Around noon, Martha heard a deep rumble in the distance, like thunder, but steadier. She stepped out onto her porch, squinting toward the road. The sound grew louder, closer. Then, one by one, motorcycles appeared over the hill. Dozens of them, their chrome shining under the pale winter sun. Engines growled as they rolled toward her house, parking in neat lines along her dirt driveway. The roar was so powerful it made her porch shake. Martha's eyes widened. "Lord have mercy," she whispered, clutching her shawl. From the front of the pack, a tall man dismounted his Harley. He wore a black leather vest with the familiar red and white Hells Angels patch stitched on the back. When he removed his helmet, Martha recognized him instantly. Ray, the man she had sheltered that freezing night. "Martha!" he called, smiling wide. "You remember me?" She laughed nervously. "How could I forget?" "What on earth is all this?" Ray approached her with his wife and kids beside him, while the other bikers stood respectfully behind. "Ma'am," he said, his voice deep and sincere, "you saved my family's life that night. You didn't care who we were or what patches we wore. You just helped us when nobody else would." Martha waved her hand. "Child, anyone would have done the same." Ray shook his head. No, ma'am. Not anyone. Most folks slam the door when they see this jacket. But you opened yours. He nodded to his brothers, and suddenly the bikers began unloading boxes and tools from their trucks. Martha watched, confused, as men started working on her yard, fixing her broken fence and repainting her porch. One group replaced the old roof shingles. Another brought in groceries, firewood, and even new furniture. "What are you people doing?" she gasped. Ray grinned. "You gave us warmth. Now we're giving something back." Within hours, her home looked brand new. The sound of hammers, laughter, and country music filled the air. Some bikers even built a swing for the neighborhood kids. Martha stood there in awe, tears glistening in her eyes. When the work was done, Ray handed her an envelope. Inside was a note that read, "For the woman who saw hearts, not jackets. Hell's Angels, Tennessee chapter." And tucked inside was a check for $25,000. Enough to cover her late husband's medical bills and fix everything she'd been struggling with for years. Martha tried to speak, but emotion caught in her throat. "I don't know what to say." Ray smiled. "Just say you'll keep that door open for the next soul who needs it." As the engines roared to life and the bikers rode off into the setting sun, Martha stood on her porch, tears rolling down her cheeks, the wind brushing her face. That night, the small wooden house glowed brighter than ever, a symbol of what happens when kindness rides farther than fear.